Entertainment Industry News, Audio Edition, for November 14, 2019. Brought to you by tvwriter.com. Links to the articles may be found in the transcript at tvwriter.com. Why should you as a visitor to TV Writer be interested in making audio fiction? Why should you be interested in making podcasts? Discoverability, that's why. The meaning of the word podcast is evolving to include any episodic, audio-only production, whether non-fiction or fiction. Agents and major studios have started trawling through podcasts and their creators for new content and talent. So here's the latest news to help you and your podcast get discovered. I told you so. HBO adds a new, expensive streaming service called HBO Max. In addition to a whole laundry list of shows including the prequel to Game of Thrones, HBO Max, at $15 per month, will have podcasts. To begin, these podcasts will probably be talk shows about the programs on the service, but it doesn't take a genius to conclude that, sooner or later, HBO will add original fictional podcasts to try out new properties. I Told You So, Part 2. iHeartMedia, which already has podcast agreements with Blumhouse Entertainment, Shonda Rhimes, yes, that, Shonda Rhimes, and Will Ferrell, has placed an order for a new scripted science fiction podcast called The Second Oil Age, created by Robert Lamb, host of iHeart's non-fiction podcast, Stuff to Blow Your Mind. United Talent Agency has already begun discussions with TV producers to make the transition from podcast to TV series. iHeart's head of podcasting, Connell Byrne, said, "Podcasting is an incredibly good medium to test intellectual property for TV and film because you can move quickly and cost-effectively." Sci-fi.com/sci-fi-wire. Resources. This post from the Nieman Journalism Lab at Harvard has some fascinating articles about podcasting in general and fiction podcasts in particular. The two most interesting articles are one about Caitlin Prest, Canadian podcaster and founder of podcast production company, Mermaid Palace, who has some out-of-the-box ideas about how to make a profit. The other details how British comedy podcast, Wooden Overcoats, goes about spending the proceeds from their crowdfunding efforts. Some good information on budgeting a successful podcast. NiemanLab.org. Resources, Part 2. From Nieman Labs, again. Independent podcast producers need to be careful when approached by potential partners. We should all be so lucky, and avoid bad contracts which are rampant within the podcast revolution. This article points out some of the things to look for. NiemanLab.org. Resources, Part 3. Some unusual clauses from podcast host terms and conditions. In the same vein, this article from Podnews goes into more specific language from some hosting companies that you need to be aware of. Podnews.net. If you want to write, you gotta listen. October 2019 audio drama/fiction podcast debut releases. Every month the Cambridge Geek compiles a list of audio fiction podcasts that have released an episode 1 during the previous month. This month there are over 60 new fiction podcasts listed, and these are just the ones he found. It's a good site to bookmark. thecambridgegeek.com. We're Alive, Gold Rush, passes 4 million downloads. The We're Alive franchise, helmed by audio drama's 800-pound gorilla, Casey Wayland, occupies a spot near the top of my favorite podcasts. The entire franchise has racked up over 140 million downloads. If you want to create top-quality audio fiction, this series is one of the gold standards. Even better, they recently released a Behind the Mic episode for Gold Rush titled We're Alive, Behind the Mic, that lets you in on the process. Podcast1.com. So, until next week, same pod time, same pod channel, keep listening and keep creating. Links to the articles are available in the transcript at tvwriter.com. Compiled by Robert W. Tinsley. Music provided by Incompetech, The Builder by Kevin MacLeod, Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International. Link available in the transcript.